Good Works community cares primarily for widows and children who are in the crossfire of poverty and parenting, and for people who are without a home. That would be the biblical vision for caring for widows, the orphan or the fatherless, and the stranger, the sojourner, the alien who dwells with you in the land. You shall love them as yourselves, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So the vision of Good Works is to be the body of Christ in the world and to welcome people in to serve at various levels. Good Works has anywhere from 15 to 20 full-time staff and about 1,100 volunteers. And our vision is to find ways for the body of Christ to function in serving the poor and the excluded and the vulnerable. The vision is to be a community and to welcome people into community and to love them back to life. Our vision is not to fix people, but to love them. And we're governed by this calling from Jesus to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. When we started Good Works, we were primarily, almost exclusively focused on caring for people without homes, the biblical stranger. We did that at my house. It was a personal project. I never really thought about starting a nonprofit. And then it grew and grew, and about the fourth year we formed the board and then moved the whole operation to our current location on Central Avenue, later named the Timothy House. And that's where we care for men, women, and children who are without homes, from Athens and Meigs and Vinton and Perry. Actually, it's about 8 total southeastern Ohio counties. Many of the people who come to stay with us are first-time homeless. They've never stayed in a shelter before. And so that's been the primary focus of Good Works up until about 1990, 91, when we began to expand. We eventually bought some property. And we began to realize that the thing God had put in our heart is to also care for widows and fatherless children. This was the biblical mandate of James. A pure religion in the sight of God is to visit widows and orphans in their time of distress. And so we're focused on that. And to keep yourself unstained or unpolluted by the world, particularly the world's view of widows and fatherless. And so that's the second kind of group that we're doing things with. Friday Night Life embodies that. We have a lot of widows and widowers. Friday Night Life is very intergenerational. We have a lot of kids coming to Friday Night Life. And these are kids coming because they want to be there, because they feel there's something life-giving there. And we are able to embrace them with the love of Jesus, and it's a good thing. So another pretty major initiative of Good Works is our short-term mission teams. And we welcome anywhere from 30 to 40 different short-term mission teams every year. And they'll come from Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Illinois, and they're coming to serve. They come to Athens County, and then we break them up into smaller groups and we send them out all the way to Gloucester, to New Marsfield, to Albany, and they're doing work primarily at the homes of widows. The vision is simply this. It comes from Job 29. I made the widow's heart sing. And that's a really important part of Good Works. We have, I don't know, 300, maybe 400 volunteers just in that particular arena of Good Works every year. And then a pretty large initiative for Good Works is the Transformation Station. This vision we have to help people get things they need. From cars to furniture to appliances to non-emergency food. It's all based on sweat equity. People move from the old identity of needy to a new identity of volunteer, and then they serve. They volunteer to serve others in the community, and as they serve for a morning, they get a point. As they serve for an afternoon, they get a point. They eventually accumulate those points, and they can trade those points in for a car. And we're excited as we're able to receive these cars, and then they're translated into transformation. They actually impact these families. It's been a lot of cars, and we're really grateful. The ministry that God has trusted us with. I love that phrase because we think we trust God, but as God raises us up and gives us responsibility, God's trusting us. And God sustains us. Unless the Lord builds the house, the psalmist writes, the laborer labors in vain. This is God's work, and God is going to fund and furnish the resources for this work. and God's going to sustain us. And that's been our case. As we enter into the next season, we know that God who has been faithful will continue to be faithful to us.